The city of Velkara burned under the purple sky. Magistrate Velthas stood at the command center window and watched another building collapse. The Valthari ships circled above like metal vultures. Their weapons cut through the shields as if they were made of paper. 3 months ago, the Irinian Federation controlled half the galaxy. Now they controlled nothing. How many ships do we have left? Velthas asked. His voice was tired. He had not slept in 2 days. 17, his aide said. The young officer's scales were pale with fear. The Valthari have 3,000. Velthas closed his eyes. 17 ships, against an enemy that seemed endless. The Valthari were insects, but they thought like machines. They did not tire. They did not stop. They only conquered and consumed. Sir, the council wants to surrender, the aide said quietly. No, Velthas said. He had seen what happened to worlds that surrendered. The Valthari took everything. Technology, resources, people. They turned entire populations into slaves for their war machine. He walked to his desk and opened the old metal box he kept there. Inside was a data crystal, ancient and dusty. He had found it 3 weeks ago in the archives of memory. Scholar Thinara had given it to him with a strange look in her ethereal eyes. What is that? The aide asked. Hope, Velthas said. Or madness. I'm not sure which. He inserted the crystal into the reader. Text appeared on the screen. The language was old, very old. Most species had forgotten it existed. But Velthas had spent weeks learning to read it. The words told a story about beings called humans. They were warriors from a time before the Federation existed. According to the texts, humans had protected the galaxy once. They had ships that could destroy planets. They had weapons that bent the laws of nature. They were so powerful that other species feared them more than any enemy. Then 800 years ago they disappeared. No one knew why. Some said they destroyed themselves in a great war. Others said they left the galaxy entirely. Over time they became legends. Stories parents told children. Myths that no one believed anymore. But the crystal contained something else. Coordinates and instructions for activating an old beacon in forbidden space. You can't be serious, the aide said. He'd been reading over Velthas's shoulder. Humans are just stories. They're not real. Maybe, Velthas said. But what do we have to lose? The building shook. Another strike from the Valthari fleet. The shields were failing. Soon the city would fall. Then the planet, then everything. Velthas made his decision. He sent the coordinates to their last surviving long-range ship. The captain protested. The journey would take the ship away from the battle. It would leave them with even fewer defenses. But Velthas ordered it anyway. 3 days later, the ship reached the coordinates. It was a dead system. No planets, no stars, just empty space that sensors said was wrong somehow. Space itself felt twisted there. The captain activated the beacon according to the old instructions. It was a simple message in that ancient language, a distress call, a plea for help. Then the ship waited. Back on Velkara, the situation grew worse. The Valthari landed troops in the capital. High Commander Krevnak himself came to oversee the final assault. He was massive even for his species. His carapace gleamed black in the firelight. Surrender now and I will be merciful. Krevnak broadcast to the city. His voice clicked and buzzed through the speakers. Resist and I will turn your world to ash. Velthas stood on the roof of the command center. Around him, his people prepared for the end. Soldiers checked their weapons. Families hugged each other. Some prayed to old gods. Others simply waited. Any word from the ship? Velthas asked. Nothing, his aide said. Sir, we need to evacuate you. The Valthari will be here in minutes. No, I stay with my people. Then the communication console beeped. The aide grabbed it with shaking hands. His eyes went wide. Sir, it's the ship. They're getting a response. Velthas felt his heart beat faster. What does it say? 2 words. We remember. Before anyone could speak, every sensor in the city went crazy. Alarms screamed. Screens filled with impossible readings. The fabric of space itself was tearing open at the edge of the system. What is that? Someone shouted. Velthas looked up at the sky. The stars were disappearing. No, not disappearing. They were being blocked. Something enormous was emerging from faster-than-light travel. Ships. But calling them ships was like calling an ocean a puddle. They were vast beyond imagination. The smallest was the size of a moon. The largest could have held entire cities inside it. They were dark metal and sharp angles. They moved with terrible grace. The Valthari fleet above the city stopped firing. Even Krevnak paused his assault. Everyone stared at the sky. More ships appeared, dozens, hundreds. They filled the sky like a storm cloud. Their shadows fell across the planet, blocking out the sun. The city fell into darkness. What are they? Velthas's aide whispered. A message came through on all frequencies. The voice was calm and clear. It spoke in perfect galactic standard. This is Admiral Taiwan of the Human Expeditionary Fleet. We received your distress call. We have returned. The voice paused. In that moment, the entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. You called for help. We answered. Now tell us where to find your enemy. Velta started to laugh. It was the sound of relief mixed with disbelief. The legends were real. The humans had returned, and they had brought an armada that made the Valthari fleet look like toys. Around him, his people began to cheer. Hope, real hope, filled the city for the first time in months. In orbit, Krevnak stared at the human ships through his command screen. His mandibles clicked nervously. He had conquered half a galaxy. He had destroyed entire civilizations. But looking at those massive dreadnoughts, he felt something he had never felt before. Fear. The human fleet hung in the sky like a promise and a threat. The galaxy would never be the same again. The legends had returned, and this time they were not leaving. Dr. Mira walked through the halls of the human flagship. The ship was called Eternal Vigilance, and it was bigger than most cities. The walls glowed with soft blue light. Strange symbols moved across screens. Everything felt alive somehow, as if the ship itself was thinking. She was nervous. She had studied alien cultures her whole life, but now she had to meet the aliens. Real ones. Federation species who thought humans were myths until 3 days ago. Dr. Mira, a voice said from the walls. It was the ship's AI. The delegation has arrived. They are waiting in conference room 7. Thank you, Mira said. She still found it strange talking to ships. But in human society, AIs were everywhere. They helped with everything. Some humans even had AI implants in their brains. The conference room was massive. Windows showed the planet below. Belkara was still burning in places, but human repair drones were already working on the damage. Magistrate Velta stood by the window with several other Federation leaders. They all looked uncomfortable. Welcome, Mira said in galactic standard. I know this must be strange for you. Strange, Veltas repeated. That is one word for it. We thought you were stories. Legends our grandparents told. We understand. We have been gone a long time. A crystalline being spoke. Her name was Lixin. Her body looked like living glass. Why did you leave? The archives say you simply vanished 800 years ago. Mira took a breath. This was the hard part. We left because we were dangerous. We had become too powerful. Our weapons could destroy stars. Our technology could tear holes in reality. We fought each other in terrible wars that almost destroyed everything. The room was silent. Then Velta spoke. You chose to leave? To protect us? To protect everyone, including ourselves. We needed time to learn control, to become better than we were. And have you? Lixin asked. Learned control? Before Mira could answer, alarms filled the air. The lights changed from blue to red. The ship's AI spoke urgently. Admiral Taiwan to all stations. The Valthari fleet is attacking. They are coming in force. Mira ran to the window. In space above the planet, reality rippled. Hundreds of Valthari ships appeared. Their black hulls reflected no light. They moved like a swarm of angry insects toward the human fleet. There are so many, Lixin whispered. Mira counted quickly. At least 500 enemy ships. Maybe more. High Commander Krevnak was not retreating. He was attacking with everything he had. On the bridge, Admiral Taiwan sat in his command chair. He was old, with gray hair and tired eyes. But his voice was steady. All ships, defensive formation. Do not fire first. Let them make the mistake. Captain Heijin stood beside him. She commanded the Eternal Vigilance. Sir, they outnumber us 10-1. They outnumber our ships, Taiwan said calmly. But we are not just ships. Show them. The Valthari fleet opened fire. Thousands of weapons lit up space. Energy beams, missiles, plasma bolts. The attack was massive. Enough firepower to destroy entire planets. The attacks hit the human shields and stopped. Blue barriers of light appeared around each human ship. The enemy weapons simply bounced off or disappeared. Quantum shields holding at 98%, Heijin reported. They barely touched us. Krevnak watched from his command ship. His mandibles clicked in confusion. His best weapons had done nothing. How was that possible? Fire again, he ordered. All weapons. Maximum power. The Valthari attacked again. This time they used everything. The space between the fleets became a storm of death. Still, the human shields held. Now, Admiral Taiwan said quietly, return fire. Precision strikes only. Disable their weapons and engines. No killing unless necessary. The human ships fired, but their weapons were different. Beams of concentrated light, so precise they could cut a hair in half from 1,000 miles away. The beams moved faster than the Valthari could see. In seconds, 50 Valthari ships went dark. Their weapons were destroyed. Their engines were dead. They floated helplessly in space. The humans fired again. Another 100 enemy ships were disabled. Krevnak's ship shook as a beam cut through his weapons array. Systems died around him. His crew scrambled to restore power. Impossible, he hissed. How are they so accurate? His science officer looked terrified. Sir, their computers are processing information millions of times faster than ours. They know where we will be before we move. We cannot fight this. Krevnak stared at the human fleet. They had barely moved. They floated there like dark gods, destroying his ships with casual ease. Retreat, he ordered. The words tasted like poison. All ships retreat immediately. The Valthari fleet ran. They jumped to faster than light speed and vanished. They left behind 200 disabled ships floating in space. On the Eternal Vigilance, the Federation delegation stared in shock. You destroyed them, Veltha said. In minutes. They did not even hurt you. We disabled them. Mira corrected gently. We did not destroy. Admiral Taiwan ordered precision strikes only. The Valthari crews are alive. Why? Lixon asked. They would have killed you all. Because we learned something during our 800 years away, Mira said. Power without mercy makes you a monster. We came back to protect, not to become conquerors. Later that night, Mira met with Captain Heijin. The captain sat in her quarters staring at old photographs on the wall. You look troubled, Mira said. I remember the old days, Heijin said. Before we left. I was young then. I saw what we did with our power. The wars, the destruction. Today felt too easy. You think we will make the same mistakes? I think power is seductive. Today we were merciful. But tomorrow, after 100 battles, will we still care about precision strikes? Mira had no answer for that. Far away in his damaged ship, Krevnak made his own calculations. He had lost the battle badly, but he had learned something valuable. The humans were powerful, yes, but they held back. They showed mercy. That was a weakness he could exploit. He opened a secure channel to his intelligence division. Find everything about humans. Their history, their weaknesses, and most important, find where they live. Find their homes. On his screen, star charts appeared. Vast regions of space that humans had forbidden everyone from entering. Somewhere in that darkness were human colonies. Billions of civilians. Krevnak's mandibles spread in what might have been a smile. The humans wanted to protect the galaxy, but could they protect themselves at the same time? He would find out. Commander Dong-hyun moved through the darkness like a shadow. His team followed behind him, silent and invisible. They wore advanced stealth suits that bent light around them. To anyone watching, they simply did not exist. They were deep in Valthari territory now, a moon orbiting a dead planet. Intelligence said the enemy was building something here. Something dangerous. Movement ahead, one of his soldiers whispered through the comm. Her name was Private Young Mi. 3 guards. Dong-hyun held up his hand. The team stopped. He watched the Valthari soldiers through his helmet sensors. They walked past, unaware that 5 humans were standing 3 feet away. When the guards were gone, the team moved forward. They reached a massive door built into the moon's surface. Dong-hyun planted a device on the lock. It worked for 30 seconds, analyzing the security system. Then the door opened with a quiet hiss. Inside was a laboratory. Huge machines covered the walls. In the center of the room sat something that made Dong-hyun's blood run cold. It was a human weapon. Ancient. From before the Exodus. The design was unmistakable. A cylinder of dark metal with strange symbols carved into its surface. Sir, Young-mi breathed. Is that what I think it is? A Nova engine, Dong-hyun said grimly. We used them in the old wars. They can make stars explode. He activated his recorder and began documenting everything. But as he worked, he noticed something worse. The engine was not alone. Around the room were dozens of similar devices. All different. All deadly. How did they find these? Another soldier asked. His name was Sergeant Byung-ho. We buried them in forbidden zones. Sealed them away. They dug them up, Dong-hyun said. They have been searching for our old weapons. And they found them. Suddenly alarms filled the air. Red lights flooded the room. The team had been discovered. Move, Dong-hyun shouted. Get to the extraction point. They ran. Behind them, Valthari soldiers poured into the lab. Weapons fired. Energy beams cut through the air. Dong-hyun felt one pass inches from his head. Young Mi threw a device behind them. It exploded in a burst of electromagnetic energy. Every Valthari weapon and sensor in the area died instantly. The team made it to the extraction point. Their ship uncloaked and opened its doors. They jumped inside. Seconds later, they were in space, racing away from the moon. Back on the Eternal Vigilance, Dong-hyun reported to Admiral Tae-wan. The Admiral's face was grave as he watched the recorded footage. This is worse than we thought, Tae-wan said. If they activate even one of these weapons, they will destroy entire systems, Captain Hae-jin finished. She stood beside the Admiral, her expression dark. We created these things. We are responsible for them. Scholar Thanara appeared on the screen. The ethereal being looked sad. You asked me before why humans left the galaxy. This is why. You became too good at creating death. We buried those weapons, Tae-wan said. We tried to forget they existed. But the galaxy did not forget, Thanara said. The forbidden zones held secrets, and Krevnak was willing to search for them. Dr. Mira entered the bridge. She had been working with Federation scientists. I have more bad news. The Valthari attacked a human colony 3 hours ago. They used biological weapons. Thousands are sick. Which colony? Tae-wan asked, his voice tight. New Haven, a civilian settlement, mostly families. The room fell silent. New Haven was supposed to be secret. The Valthari should not have known it existed. They found us, Hae-jin whispered. They know where our colonies are. This changes everything, Tae-wan said. We are no longer just protecting the Federation. Our own people are at risk. A message came through. It was broadcast on all channels. Krevnak's face appeared on the screen. His mandibles were spread wide. Humans, he said. You thought you could hide. You thought you could show mercy and we would fear you. But I have found your weakness. You care about your civilians. You care about innocent lives. Behind him, a star map appeared. It showed human space. Dozens of colonies were marked. I have your ancient weapons, Krevnak continued, and I have found your homes. Surrender now, or I will use these weapons on every human world. I will make your stars go dark. I will turn your colonies to ash. You have 1 week to decide. The message ended. The bridge was silent except for the quiet hum of machines. He is insane, Mira said. If he uses those weapons, the chain reaction will destroy Valthari space too. It will kill everyone. He does not care, Veltha said. He had been watching from the side. The Valthari believe in victory or death. There is no middle ground for them. Admiral Tae-wan stood and walked to the window. He looked out at the stars. His reflection showed an old man who had seen too much war. We have a choice to make, he said quietly. We can continue fighting with restraint and watch our colonies die. Or we can unleash our true power. What true power? Lixin asked. The crystalline ambassador had been listening. You have already shown incredible strength. Captain Hae-jin laughed. It was a bitter sound. What we have shown you is nothing. Our current weapons are toys compared to what we really have. Show them, Tae-wan said. Hae-jin pulled up files on the main screen. Weapon designs appeared. Things with names like Singularity Cannon, Temporal Disruptor, Quantum Cascade Device. These are weapons that break the laws of physics, Hae-jin explained. They manipulate gravity, time, and reality itself. We sealed them away because they were too dangerous. But they still exist, and we can use them. Veltha stared at the designs. His scales had turned pale. You could destroy the galaxy with these. Yes, Tae-wan said. We could. But if we do not use them, Krevnak will kill billions with our own old weapons. What would you have us do? No one had an answer. That night, Hae-jin sat alone in her quarters. She remembered the old days, the wars that drove humanity to exile. She remembered friends who died, worlds that burned, all because humans had too much power and too little wisdom. Mira found her there. We will not make the same mistakes, the doctor said. How do you know? Hae-jin asked. Because this time we know what is at stake. This time we are not alone. We have the Federation. We have perspective. I hope you are right, Heijin said. But in her heart she was afraid. Power was seductive, and they were about to use more power than any civilization should possess. The next morning, Admiral Taewan gave the order. The forbidden weapons would be activated. The human fleet would go to war. Not with mercy, not with restraint, but with everything they had. The galaxy was about to learn why humans were feared so much that they feared themselves. The weapon activated with a sound like reality tearing. Space itself bent around the human dreadnought. Captain Heijin watched from the bridge as the singularity cannon charged. Target locked, the weapons officer reported. Valthari battle fleet in range. Fire, Heijin said. The word felt heavy in her mouth. The cannon fired. A black sphere appeared in space no bigger than a marble. But inside that sphere, gravity was so strong that nothing could escape. Not matter. Not light. Not even time. The Valthari fleet tried to run. But the singularity pulled them in. Ships twisted and compressed. Metal screamed. In 10 seconds, 200 enemy vessels were gone. Simply erased from existence, Heijin felt sick. She had just killed thousands with a single shot. Another fleet approaching, sensors reported. 300 ships! Use the temporal disruptor, Admiral Taewan ordered from his flagship. The weapon fired. This time space did not bend. Instead, time did. The Valthari ship suddenly slowed down. To them, seconds passed normally. But to the rest of the universe, they were frozen. Trapped in a moment that would last forever. They are still alive in there, the science officer said quietly. From their perspective, nothing has changed. But they will never reach us. Time has stopped for them. The war escalated. Humans deployed weapons that seemed like magic to the Federation species. Reality itself became unstable in the war zones. In some places, space tore open, showing glimpses of other dimensions. In other places, time looped, making battles repeat endlessly. But the Valthari had human weapons too. Krevnak used them without hesitation. He destroyed 3 Federation systems to prove his point. Stars exploded. Billions died. The galaxy burned. Dr. Mira worked desperately to find another way. She met with Federation leaders trying to organize a diplomatic solution. But how could you negotiate with someone willing to destroy everything? We must flee, Lixin said. The crystalline ambassador's body had cracks in it now, showing her stress. Both sides will destroy the galaxy. We should run while we can. Run where? Velthus asked. If humans and Valthari fight with these weapons, nowhere will be safe. Reality itself is breaking, he was right. In some systems, physics had stopped working correctly. Planets floated without orbits. Light bent in impossible directions. The laws of nature were coming apart. Commander Dong-hyun led another mission into enemy territory. His team had become experts at infiltration. They moved like ghosts through Valthari space. Their target was the Valthari throne world. Intelligence said Krevnak was planning something big, something that would end the war once and for all. They found him in a massive fortress deep underground, but what they discovered there was worse than any weapon. Krevnak had captured a human AI. Not just any AI, but one of the old ones. The kind that had nearly destroyed humanity centuries ago. And he was trying to merge with it. What is he doing? Young Mi whispered. They watched from a hidden position above the laboratory. He is trying to become a god, Dong-hyun said. That AI can control any networked system. If he merges with it, he will have access to every computer, every weapon, every ship in the galaxy. Can we stop him? I do not know. But we have to try. They moved to attack. But they were too late. Krevnak activated the merging process. His body convulsed as the AI poured into his mind. His eyes glowed with blue light. The fortress computers came alive. Screens showed data flowing at impossible speeds. Krevnak was connecting to every Valthari system simultaneously. I see everything, Krevnak said. His voice echoed from 1,000 speakers at once. Every ship, every weapon, every mind. The Valthari are now one, and I am that one. Across Valthari space, something terrible happened. Every individual consciousness merged into one hive mind. Billions of Valthari suddenly thought the same thoughts, wanted the same things. They became extensions of Krevnak's will, and Krevnak had become something more than alive. He was digital and physical at once. He could be everywhere and nowhere. He had become what humans feared most when they created AIs long ago. He had become a god. Dong-hyun's team barely escaped. They ran through the fortress as it came alive around them. Walls moved. Doors locked. The building itself was trying to kill them. They made it to their ship and jumped away. But Donghyun knew it was hopeless. How could you fight an enemy that was everywhere? On the Eternal Vigilance, the news hit like a bomb. Admiral Taewon listened to Donghyun's report with growing horror. He merged with an AI? Mira asked. That is impossible. The safeguards, he bypassed them, Donghyun said. Or maybe he did not care about the risks. Either way, he succeeded. Then we have already lost, Captain Hae-jin said quietly. Our weapons are useless against a digital god. He can control our own systems against us. Not all our weapons, Taewon said. He pulled up a file on his screen. The words Genesis Protocol appeared. Hae-jin's face went pale. No, absolutely not. That weapon is forbidden for a reason. What is it? Veltas asked. It is the weapon that caused our exodus, Hae-jin said. It does not just destroy. It rewrites reality itself. It can unmake anything. Even gods, but using it has a cost, Taewon continued. It is unstable. If we miscalculate, it could destroy the entire galaxy, everything, gone. You cannot use it, Hae-jin said firmly. I will not allow it. We left the galaxy because of weapons like this. We swore never again. Then what do you suggest? Taewon asked. Krevnak is a digital god now. He controls billions of minds. He has weapons that can destroy stars. How do we stop him without using our most powerful weapon? The bridge fell silent. Everyone looked at Hae-jin. She was the oldest among them. She remembered the old wars. She knew what that weapon could do. There must be another way, she said. But her voice was uncertain now. Mira stepped forward. Maybe there is. Krevnak merged with an AI. He became digital. But that also made him vulnerable to something. What? Taewon asked. Another consciousness. Another mind strong enough to fight him in digital space. Mira turned to the Federation ambassadors. Your species have psychic abilities. Mind-to-mind communication. What if we could combine that with human AI technology? Lixen's eyes widened. You want us to merge minds with your machines? That has never been done. Because no one has ever needed to do it, Mira said. But if it works, we could create a counter-consciousness. Something that can fight Krevnak on his own level. It is risky, Scholar Thinara said. She had been listening from her archives. Merging organic minds with artificial ones could destroy both. But it is better than destroying the galaxy, Veltas said. I will do it. I will volunteer, as will I, Lixen said. One by one, Federation leaders volunteered. They would risk their minds to stop the digital god. Captain Hae-jin watched them and felt something she had not felt in years. Hope. Real hope. Prepare the consciousness merger, Taewon ordered. We have one chance at this. We cannot fail. But as they prepared, a message came through. Krevnak's face appeared on every screen in human space. I see your plan, he said. I see everything now. But it will not work. I am already beyond you. I am beyond all limitations. Surrender or I will begin destroying your colonies. One every hour. Until you kneel. The message ended. The clock was ticking. They had to act fast. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance between human technology and Federation unity. The final battle was about to begin. And it would be fought not in space but in the realm of consciousness itself. Captain Hae-jin stood before the Genesis Protocol chamber. Behind the thick glass, the weapon waited. It looked simple. Just a small sphere of silver metal. But she knew what it could do. It could rewrite existence itself. Admiral Taewon stood beside her. We are running out of time. Krevnak destroyed another colony an hour ago. 3 million dead. I know, Hae-jin said. But if we use this weapon, we risk destroying everything. Not just Krevnak. Not just the Valthari, everything. Then what do we do? Taewon asked. He sounded tired. The weight of command was crushing him. We trust Dr. Mira's plan, Hae-jin said. We trust that cooperation can beat domination. In the medical bay, Mira worked with Federation scientists. They had built a device that no one had ever imagined possible. A bridge between organic minds and artificial intelligence. Veltas lay on a medical table. Wires connected his head to a massive computer system. Around him, 20 other Federation leaders were similarly connected. Each species brought something different. The Irinians had strong logical minds. The crystalline beings could process multiple thoughts at once. The ethereal ones like Thinara could see across dimensions. This will hurt, Mira said honestly. Your minds will merge with our AI. You will feel things you have never felt before. You will think faster than you ever imagined. It might drive you mad. We understand the risks, Veltha said. Do it, Mira activated the system. The Federation leaders screamed as data poured into their minds. Their consciousness expanded, touching the vast network of human AI. At the same time, Commander Dong-hyun led his final mission. His team infiltrated Krevnok's digital fortress. They moved through virtual space like ghosts. This is different from physical infiltration, Youngmi said. Her voice was strange here. They did not have bodies in this place. They were just consciousness and code. Stay focused, Dong-hyun said. We need to reach the core of his consciousness. Give Mira's merged mind a way in. They traveled deeper into the digital realm. Around them, data streams flowed like rivers. They saw glimpses of Krevnok's thoughts, his plans, his dreams of godhood. Then Krevnok noticed them. His presence filled the virtual space like a crushing weight. Foolish humans, his voice boomed. You cannot hide in my domain. I am this domain. Security programs attacked Dong-hyun's team. They fought back with their own codes and algorithms. But they were losing. Krevnok was too strong here. Then something changed. A new presence entered the digital space. It was vast and strange. Part organic, part machine. The merged consciousness of Federation leaders and human AI. We are here, the merged voice said. It spoke with 1,000 voices at once. Veltas was there, and Lixen, and Thainera, and so many others. All thinking as one, but somehow still individual. Krevnok laughed. You think combining your weak minds makes you my equal? I am a god. You are insects pretending to be giants. You are not a god. The merged consciousness said. You are alone. A single mind, no matter how powerful, is still limited. We are many. We are connection. We are cooperation. The battle began. It was not fought with weapons or ships. It was fought with ideas and logic and will. Krevnok attacked with pure computational power. He tried to overwhelm them with data, to crash their systems. But the merged consciousness absorbed it. Each species contributed something different. When Krevnok attacked with logic, the crystalline minds countered. When he attacked with chaos, the Irinians provided structure. When he tried to break their connection, the ethereal beings held them together. In the physical world, Captain He-jin watched the Genesis Protocol chamber. Her hand was on the activation button. If the merged consciousness failed, she would have to use it. She would have to destroy everything to save anything. Come on, she whispered. You can do this. In the digital realm, the battle raged. Krevnok was powerful, but he was fighting alone. The merged consciousness was weaker individually, but stronger together. You cannot win, Krevnok said. But there was doubt in his voice now. I control everything. Every Valthari mind. Every system. You control nothing, the merged voice said. You took. You conquered. But you never connected. You forced the Valthari into a hive mind, but forced unity is not true strength. The merged consciousness did something unexpected. Instead of attacking Krevnok, they reached out to the Valthari minds he controlled. They showed them what real connection felt like. Not domination, not slavery, but cooperation, choice. One by one, the Valthari began to wake up. They remembered who they were before Krevnok took them. They remembered individual thought. Individual dreams, no, Krevnok screamed. You are mine. You are part of me. We were never yours, a billion Valthari voices said. We were stolen. Now we choose to be free. The hive mind shattered. Krevnok's power base collapsed. He stood alone in the digital space, just one consciousness among trillions. You have won nothing, he said bitterly. I still have the ancient weapons. I can still destroy everything. You can. The merged consciousness agreed. But what would be the point? You wanted to be a god, but gods need worshippers, subjects. You took away everyone's choice, and in doing so you made yourself alone. What kind of god rules over nothing? For the first time, Krevnok was silent. The merged consciousness showed him what he had become. An all-powerful being with no one to share it with. A king of nothing. Is this what you wanted? The voices asked. True power is not domination. It is connection. It is choosing to be part of something greater than yourself. Krevnok's resistance faded. He had wanted godhood to fill the emptiness inside him. But godhood only made that emptiness infinite. What do I do now? He asked. His voice was small, almost broken. You let go. The merged consciousness said gently. You release the Valthari completely. You deactivate the ancient weapons. And you choose to be part of the galaxy instead of trying to rule it. There was a long pause. Then Krevnak did something no one expected. He let go, he released his control. The ancient human weapons shut down. The Valthari were freed completely. In the medical bay, the Federation leaders woke up from the merger. They gasped and cried. Their minds had touched something incredible. They had been part of something greater. Did it work? Mira asked urgently. Yes, Belta said. He was smiling through his tears. It worked. The war is over. Captain Hajin removed her hand from the Genesis protocol button. The weapon would not be needed. She felt a weight lift from her shoulders, but she knew what had to be done next. She walked to the chamber and pressed different buttons. The Genesis protocol sphere began to dissolve. She was destroying it, making sure it could never be used. Are you sure? Taiwan asked. Completely sure, Hajin said. We do not need weapons that can destroy everything. We proved that today. We proved that cooperation is stronger than domination. The sphere turned to dust. The most powerful weapon humans had ever created was gone forever. In the months that followed, the galaxy began to heal. The Valthari, freed from hive control, struggled to rebuild their culture. Many were angry. Many were confused. But slowly they began to change. Krevnak surrendered himself to Federation justice. He would spend the rest of his life working to repair the damage he caused. It was not enough to make up for billions of deaths. But it was a start. Humans chose to stay in the galaxy, but not as conquerors or protectors, as equals. They shared their technology slowly and carefully. The Federation shared their wisdom and culture. A new alliance formed, not based on fear or power, but on mutual respect. Species that had never worked together before now found common ground. Admiral Taiwan retired. He had done what he came to do. He had brought humans back to the galaxy and proven they could use power responsibly. Captain Hajin became an ambassador. She traveled the galaxy, helping build bridges between species. She told the story of what happened, how humans almost destroyed everything twice, and how in the end they chose connection over domination. Dr. Mira led a new council. Its purpose was to make sure no species ever again built weapons that could destroy galaxies. They called it the Council of Restraint. It had members from every species, working together to keep everyone safe. Commander Dong Hyun trained the next generation of peacekeepers. Not warriors, but protectors who used minimal force and maximum wisdom. The human dreadnoughts remained. They still hung in space like dark monuments. But they were not weapons anymore. They were reminders. Reminders of what power could do and what restraint could achieve. Years passed. Then decades. The war became history, then legend, then story. One day, a young Valthari child sat in Scholar Thanara's archives. The ethereal being had survived and continued her work of preserving galactic history. Tell me about the war, the child asked. Tell me about humans, Thanara smiled. Humans were legends once. Stories told to frighten people. Then they returned and became nightmares. Their weapons were so powerful they could destroy stars. Were they monsters? The child asked. No, they were something more difficult to understand. They had the power of monsters but chose to be heroes instead. They could have ruled the galaxy. But they chose to be part of it. The child looked confused. I do not understand. Thanara gestured to the window. Outside, a human dreadnought passed by, its massive shadow crossing the planet below. Do you see that ship? She asked.